Hey, this is Jordan with BTV Drones. This video is going to serve as an introduction as well as a first flight to the Walkera F210 series quadcopter. Let's take a look at what you get when you buy one. So this is the Walkera F210 series quadcopter. Let's take a look at what's inside the box. So when you first open the box, you're greeted with a beautiful F210 series model, to be reminded about that. This is built from Walkera. They're a great build company. So manual is that. No one really needs that for now. This is the balance charger that you're going to get for the LiPo battery. Set that aside. Under this here, we've got the Devo 7 controller. This is what you're going to be using to fly everything with. It does look pretty intimidating at first, but over time you'll get used to a lot of the stuff. And to be honest, when you're flying this Walkera F210, there's not too much you're going to be using on this besides a couple of the switches. A lot of the other stuff is just set for other devices that may not be used in this drone. So we'll put that aside. So here we have the beautiful F210 series quadcopter. This is what you're after. This is what you really care about. So as you can see here, it's pre-built, everything that's on it. It's already got pretty much everything you need. It even comes with a battery. The battery's already even installed. Imagine that. So this is what you get. It comes with 4 2-blade props installed already. It also comes with some extras that are in the accessory bin. You got some in here. And you got some tools to take the props off as well. You've got a battery anti-slip mat, so you can put that under the battery so that doesn't move around too much. Like I was saying, you got some other props here, spares. Now, remember, when you're going to be flying this, when you put the props on, if you ever have to replace them, you always have some counter in clockwise props. So if you don't get those right, you don't put them on right, then your quad will not take off and you will have issues. So that's extras. You don't need any of that for now. So let's take a little bit more closer look at this here. So we've got the camera in the front. This is going to be used for your FPV drone footage, or actually flying rather, through your goggles. This camera here is tiltable. It's locked in at this angle right about now. I'd say maybe 45 degree, 50 degree angle. That's probably the best degree that you want, so when you're flying, it's not pointing straight at the ground. It's pointed upwards, because you'll be flying forward like that. So that's adjustable. The battery is here, held in with a strap. Take this out. Now it comes with a 4S battery, which is actually pretty good. Most quads will only start with a 3S. Sometimes you have to upgrade them to support a 4S. This one out of the box comes with a 4S pre-installed, ready to use. The advantage of a 4S versus a 3S is that you're going to have a lot faster flights. Now the battery may not last longer, but you are going to have faster flights. That's because there's more voltage going out to the motors and the ESCs. So it can actually handle that with this model. Now, these little bunny ears here, these are the antennas for the Devo 7. When you're not flying, it's probably best to put these down out of the way. But when you are flying, you do want to have these up as much as possible so you get the best range and the best control. You're also going to have your video transmitter right here. This is the antenna for the video transmitter. The video transmitter is actually below down here. You can also see some dip switches, which is what you would change if you're looking to fly with different people and not be on the same channels. So you would do that. If you want to get extra antennas, you can do that as well. This one is actually locked in right here, so it doesn't break very easily. You can actually just replace this. You have to move it over, push it down, click it out, and then this comes off, and you can actually replace this whole antenna to get further range with your goggles. Now, as far as the rest of this goes, it's pretty standard. There's not much else you're going to have to do with it. Everything's ready to go, ready to fly, and you will have to put some batteries in your Devo 7. This is going to take 8 AA batteries. This will last probably 10, 15, 20 flights or so, depending on how long you're flying and how often. So that's all I need for the controller. And then this, of course, you'll have to make sure your battery's charged. before you fly. These are only going to last probably about 5 to 7 minutes per flight, just given the fact of how fast you're going to be going. Now when you're flying, you only have to plug in this XT60 connector to the positive and the negative. Some other quads, you can plug in the balance lead, which is what this is here. This will kind of tell you how much battery you have left. But the nice feature of this quad is that it actually already has a beeper built in. So it'll start beeping when you get to a low voltage threshold. And that's all you need to know. So if you do have this hanging out, not a big deal. If you do have a charger that supports the balance charging, you probably will want to use that, just because that's a good habit, and it actually makes the battery last longer throughout the life of it. Right here actually. So this one, as you can tell, in the charger does have a balance lead as well, so you can charge it with that, and that's the best bet to charge it with. Charge times on these batteries are going to be usually about an hour, so you're probably going to want to stock up on a couple different batteries, have them ready to go, and have them ready for a whole days of flying. So now that I've charged the drone battery, and as well as installed 8 AA batteries in the Devo 7, let's take a look at what you need to do for your first flight. So what you're going to do for your first flight is plug in the main battery for the quadcopter. It will beep a lot, and you get some lights. Then immediately after that, you're going to want to turn this on, and then the beeping should stop, and you'll see in about a minute this will lock on. Alright, so that noise tells us it's binded to this controller. Now what we have to do is we want to make sure all of these throttles are forward. That's the safest way for the flight in the first time you're flying. Okay, so now if we try to start the motors right now with this, it's actually not going to do anything, and that's because we haven't armed the motors in the quadcopter yet. So what we're going to want to do is open these bunny ears. Now that we've got that for better flight, make sure the props are good and those are all on. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the throttle and all the way down. You'll see how that flashes down there, and now if I go up a little bit, these are ready for flying. So let's take off. Alright, so that's the first. Now when you're flying, you want to keep this in the front setting as much as possible, because that's going to give you the most docile flights for your first time flying. If you want to get crazy, then you're going to bring this down to the middle flight setting, and that will let you do some rolls, but it'll also give you stabilization. If you want to have complete manual control and do flips and rolls as much as possible, you bring this down all the way, and that'll give you controls to do flips, rolls, and everything without any stabilization. For the most part, when you're first starting, you're always going to keep this up all the way. Now, to turn this off and disable it, take this and go all the way down. That will disarm the motors. That light's solid. And then always unplug this battery first, and then turn this off. And that's all you need to know for your first flight with a Walkera F210.